We're live. And it's one of those moments where I'm going to struggle not to look like some sort of half-wit on as I come on here, because my mind has just been all over the place today. So I'm sat here laughing already because I'm doing this course at the moment, and the homework and the task today was all about putting your first live video out there to get yourself going and and I thought, I'm all right. I've been doing this for quite a long time, believe it or not. So I was sort of playing about with how I introduce myself, and there's all sorts of buttons on here where you can press buttons to go live, and you can put this intro in. Hi, Adi, hope you're well. And I like watching Gardener's World. Now, Gardener's World is that gentle sort of introduction. Hello and welcome to Gardener's World. And then there's another presenter on there that when he comes on, it's hello and welcome to Gardener's World. And that's kind of like where my mindset's at, because I'm trying to not come in like 100 mile an hour, but I've come in at 100 mile an hour because the stuff I've been concentrating on, I've got my head lost in other things, because I'm planning for doing this video on my homework, on my course that I'm doing. And then I looked up and thought, shit, I've agreed to go live on at 7 o'clock. So I was like a little bit, bit disheveled. Let me put it that way. So I've come on here to today, and I hope people have read the description a little bit there, that this is like anything else. It'll be on here as long as people are on here to catch up with it. And if they're not, then, well, it'll have to be what it'll be, type of thing. I'm just answering the comment there. How have you been? Oh, well, this is where we could talk about things for a long time. So I'm just going to sort of structure a little bit. So if you've caught up with my last couple of videos, that talks quite a lot about how my life has been, particularly over the last 18 months. And at the beginning of the year, I decided on a multi-faceted way of approaching things. So you've got your physical, where I'm back in the gym now regularly and lifting more weights than what I have been for the last couple of years. Actually dealing with a long-standing back injury with having treatment with the chiropractics, which is realigning quite a lot of things. And as well as physically, it's bringing up quite a lot of emotional stuff as well. So I'm having all of that sort of things taken care of. And what I'm also in line with is the sort of emotional side of my life, where there's lots of things that have come up as a result of my dad's passing. And it's triggered lots of different things. So I'm kind of having to utilize my energy in its best possible form. So it's like breaking it down into small chunks, which is what I was always taught when I was doing counseling and things like that, was that that you had breaking it down into bite-sized chunks, chunking it down, if you like. So my NLP furthered that as well. So when you're faced with an issue or faced with a problem, you chunk it down into bite-sized pieces. Then if you can start portioning your energy towards it, then you can start to make the changes. So then it's then looking at, right, it's good to recognize what you're doing, but it's not always the best if you haven't got a direction to aim in. So then I'm starting to have a look at what my destination is. And my destination, quite simply, is that I want to be a spiritual life coach, because I've recognized at long last what I'm good at. Now, the reason that I broadcast on Facebook from my spiritual coaching page and on YouTube is because I want to put more of an emphasis on doing the work that I want to put out to people. So YouTube is where the direction of the channel is now going in. I will always do readings if anybody wants them or anything like that. But I'm looking at how I project myself. I want to do coaching with people, but I want to work with them rather than telling them something. So what I've been talking about quite a lot just recently is I want to guide people, support people while they do the work. So whatever it is that you've got going on in your mind and things like that, how you structure, how you process stuff. And what I'm good at is standing there while you decide what you want to do with it. And then while we do that, then we can have a look into the structure of what the problem might be, and then help you go forward. And I've I've been looking at how I project myself. Now, the thing is with me, I've always looked at it this way. What I'm going through, what I'm experiencing, the client out there doesn't need to know. So I've had to change my mindset slightly now, because the things that have happened to me recently have really impacted my life, and will undoubtedly have an effect on the way that I'm going to project myself. Hello, thanks for coming on, new subscriber. Paws, claws, and jaws. Subscribe to you. Thanks very much. I appreciate you coming on here. So I'm just talking about at the moment. There's not a lot of people on at the moment. Maybe one or two people will join later on. It's just this sort of open forum there that I'm looking at promoting myself. And what I'm talking about is that usually I don't let my personal affairs affect the work that I'm doing. But I've realized something, that part of my skill set is having that ability to draw on my experiences to help other people. So this is now part and parcel of it. So for those that don't know me, my dad passed away 18 months ago, and I didn't have the greatest of relationships with him. So there's been a lot of stuff that's been bottled up that's come to the surface since his passing. Now, I don't wish nastiness or darkness on anybody, but then when you've had a frustration and you've had an anger and things like that you've bottled and buried down, sometimes you get this trigger, and this trigger triggers a response, and you've got to deal with what the trigger is and also what the condition response is. So things that have happened prior to, they might all come in together under one banner, and you've got to kind of like split it all up so you know whether you're dealing with your present or you're dealing with issues from your past. So all of this just kind of came in, and I've just gone, do you know what? I ain't got any answers anymore. I have got no answers to what's going on. So what I've decided to do is I will hit it as honestly as I can do. Part of what I believe was triggered when my dad passed away was an awareness of what I strongly believe to be ADHD. So ADHD is that attention hyperactive disorder. Now, I looked at it, and I've always had that mindset initially that it's kids that leap around and that, they can't hold their attention, and they're disruptive and things like that. So I've had to educate myself as well that the ADHD side of things, there's about three, possibly more different types, and they're all then placed on the autistic spectrum as well. So I'm looking at these things, and I'm not saying all of a sudden, because my dad's gone, that I've got ADHD. What I believe to be true in my heart is that since I was about 5 or 6, that the signs have been there. But the issue is now looking at what the impact of that now is. So as I'm 50, nearly 53 now, it's like my life's changed overnight, but it really hasn't. What it's changed is that my awareness of how I now manage myself. So when I put on here about the man with the tism, the idea behind that is because I'm not going to go and get an official diagnosis, I've self-diagnosed. Now, there'll be people out there who'll go, oh, you've got a bit obsessed with it, or we all have times like that. Well, I'm not here to argue with anybody's assessment of what they think's going on. I'm telling you how it sort of comes from my perspective and how I feel. So I want to combine it all in with the work that I'm now doing. And I want to publicize as much as I can the work that I'm doing. But also, it's been a test to push me on and get me to have a go at doing the work that I want to do. So the thing is, you look at figures and things like this. So when I started on YouTube with the idea behind this channel, I've been working as a spirit medium and demonstrator for nearly 8 years now. And I've been up and down the country doing shows, fairs, events, and things like that. And that kind of like takes care of itself, because I go to an event, the business cards go out, people get to know me. I'll do the odd reading on Facebook and things like that, and then that publicizes what I want to do. So there's all sorts of shows coming in, so people kind of spread the word for me, and I really enjoy that. I'm doing more and more demonstrations and more sort of what I would call stand-up. What I want to build on is my ability to connect with people and their energy. Now, to do any of this where you're giving of yourself, what you've got to learn to do is to be able to know how you work, know what your triggers are, what your traumas are. Because anybody I've ever spoken to about going forward and going into a profession, if you're going on that spiritual line, is to recognize straight away that if you haven't got your own shit in order, the first person that comes that you're alongside and you understand and you sympathize rather than empathize, then you're kind of like partners in crime there, that you're not really going to help one another. You're going to understand, but you're not going to get anything out of it where you're going to go, right, I understand, and this is what we're going to do, and we're going to move forward and we structure something. No, I work on an empathetic basis, that I have empathy with what people have had. But at the end of the day, what I do with people is I want to know where they want to go next. Then you've got to go through that process of finding out how they process information, how they understand what's going on around them. So once they understand how they're going on around them, we will take them to wherever that problem is, and then start to break it down so that we can work on it. So I've done all sorts of things, courses and training, analytical hypnotherapy, neuro-linguistic programming. And my latest thing that has really sort of fired me up, it really has got me where I'm really excited about all of this, is that also, sorry, I just need to press another button there as well, and see if we can bring some more people in, because I don't want to be just sort of talking to one person. It might even be me that I'm talking to. I don't know whether my comments are going out there now, so I've just published that to my mediumship page as well. So it's working with all sides and basically promoting my energy. Now, what I've been working with just recently is that pronged approach of, hi, great, thank you, appreciate that. Is working with what's going on around me. So I've got to clear the decks. So I just want to give a plug for this. I have actually emailed the author. I'm not going to go into great detail over this. We're having trouble. Oh, okay. So I've just had a message that we're having trouble streaming on Facebook. Oh, right. Okay. Right. So I'm not quite sure what's going on there. Okay. All right. Just bear with me a second. There's just sent me a message there, so I'll take that off. Sorry about this. Maybe that's because I've tried to add that afterwards. I don't know. Anyway, so what my thing has been, I've emailed the author. Now, I've been trying to make sense out of my life for quite a while. Now, this book, right, by Alex Partridge, who's quite a big YouTuber on here, that talks about ADHD and the impact on him. So I have been subscribed to him for quite a while, but unknowingly, somebody sent me a link to this book. I didn't realize it was him that written it, but I was quite excited to see that it might be giving me some answers. So now it all makes sense. It's a very simplistic way of breaking down what's been going on in my head. And it freaked me out because it's like somebody has undone the top of my head, crawled in and written that book based on how I've lived my life. And it has been such an eye-opener. So it's given me the confidence to turn around to people and just go, well, whether I'm diagnosed with ADHD, whether I've got it or not, there's definitely something going on. So the thing that I've always done is I've hidden those bits away from me as much as I can. You know, I've tried to play a character that I'm all confident and that I'm all okay and everything's right behind the scenes and just being that person that you can lean on. But what I've realized is people don't always want that. They want the true, authentic person. So when I went out onto stage the other week, I've done this talk for about the last 6 years about my my journey from prison officer to going onto the circuit as a full-time spiritual medium. And very last minute, this year, going into an event, I decided I wanted to change the talk. So I changed the talk, and the talk all became about neurodiversity, ADHD, how you process thoughts, and then also working with spirit involved in all of that. And what I found was I was absolutely amazed, because I'd gone on there, and I'm going to be perfectly honest, I was absolutely bricking myself when I went on there that I was getting this wrong. I wasn't reaching the right people, and the feedback that I got was absolutely incredible. That the amount of people that come up to me and said, "Oh, I so resonate with what you said there. Thank you very much for bringing that into the light." And I ended up busy all day based on the talk that I just given. And the thing was, I'd improvised it, because I just went with my heart. I just realized that what I was actually doing wasn't resonating, wasn't sitting with me correctly. So I just wanted to change it. So my idea with coming on here now is to just be me, right? So some days I'll turn up and I'll have the waistcoat on and things like that, because I'll do the tarot and I'll do the angel cards. And I'm quite happy if there's anybody on here, if they want a card message or anything like that. I've got 3 decks of cards sat in front of me. But I say I'm just trying to put out there awareness of the work that I do, because it's bloody effective, right? I know that I'm a healer, and I know that when you're connecting with other people's energies as well, that it really makes a difference. And together as a team, you can actually work through quite a lot of stuff that you're not aware of. And the good thing about it, and this is where the change of mindset's come in for me, is this neuro-spicy brain, as I'm labeling it as, sees things in all sorts of different perspectives. So when people come to me, right, they tell me their story, I can see all sorts of different angles around it. I can see all sorts of different stories that would be able to possibly sort of fit in with that, and get people to look at things from a slightly different angle. Once you can get people to open up their energies, then you can make huge changes. So this course that I'm now on is that there is them building on that. So I don't have an issue about stepping in front of a live camera and talking, because over the years, I think at least 7 years I've been doing these lives on Facebook. It's only since YouTube's come in that my audience has dropped a little bit, and I got really hung up on how many subscribers I'd got, how many people were following me, and all of that lot. And I'm being honest here, I'm sat here and there's 2 people showing up as on my feed. Now, some people could get that as it's not going to work, but it's an opportunity to put out there what I do. Now, there'll be some people that will view it later on that it won't be their cup of tea, and I ain't got an issue with that. I really haven't. What I'm trying to do is spread the word, spread the energy, and publicize what it is that I actually do. So you can see the scroll banner going across there, but I'm not a salesman, so I'm not pushing for readings in that sense. I'm looking at doing the spiritual life coaching, which is you tell your story. We then in that discussion say to ourselves, where do you want to go with this information? What do you want to do? And then we structure a response to it. And I'm like your spiritual bodyguard, that I will get stuck in with you while we deal with these, what I call, it's for me, it's like mind treacle, that you can get yourself bogged down in who said why, what to who, and experiences that you've had. Once you can get a person to disassociate, which means pulling away from old thought patterns, you can help them restructure. And this is basically what I tend to do. So on here, I'm now showing as one person. So this will not last much longer with one person, but if that one person that's still here would like a card reading, please give me a shout. And if not, I shan't be on much longer. I shall probably jump onto Facebook there and do some card readings on my mediumship page. So this thing for me, it's still a work in progress, because I'm looking at doing like a podcast type of thing, but I haven't got the expertise. So it's like with anything, you've got to start somewhere. You've got to put that first sort of marker down, and then eventually people will join in, right? It will catch on, because there's people showing that there was interested earlier on, but they've not jumped on. So for me, I've always had that belief that when you're working with something, that you're not always going to hit big audiences. And my whole thing is, if I help one person in a day, then I've done well. Right, but it's working on the mindset there to actually get on there, because I can get very not lazy, but if I get too much things going on in my mind, I'll tend to withdraw. And then you can't sit back and blame the lack of work coming in if you've not put the maximum effort in to deal with the stuff that's going on around you, sort things, organize things. So yeah, that's why I come on here and I just be absolutely honest. Yeah, thank you very much for sticking with me. And what I will do is, because you're on here and you've stuck with me, I will certainly do you. I'm going to do your 3-card reading, and I'm going to do it for free because I can. Right, and this is the thing about me. I'm a belligerent bugger. Right, I have. I've stood and done an audience with one person, and I've sat with them, and then it's filled up, and people have filtered in. So I don't get like agitated. I would obviously, I'd like a bigger audience, because the more people that I reach, God, these cards are lively tonight. The more people that I reach, the more chance I've got of drumming up some business. So even if you come on this late on, please like and share this sort of thing, because it will build, and it's going to take time to build. And I understand that. And here's another thing as well. So look at what your life's lessons are. And what I mean by that is, one of the biggest things that I have got to learn to do, and got to is a command word, is learn patience. Right. So me at nearly 53 years of age have got certain patterns and certain things that I've done day in, day out for as long as I can remember. Now, for somebody to come in and just go, right, you have got to change your lifestyle and your thought processes and things like that, there's going to be resistance. Right? There is going to be resistance, because you've got in that pattern, whether it's good or bad, you get your head down and you get on with it. Then I started to think, right, so this is where my sort of wide open view, my neurospicy head comes in. Think about it this way, right? So I've been told from other sources, spirit, the universe, and other people that have spoken to me, that I lack patience, right? So one of my learning points in life is patience. So imagine that that's presented to you as a package. Here you go, patience. Right, having not had any, right, I wouldn't know what that looked like. I wouldn't know what it felt like. So I've got to bed that in. I've got to understand what patience means. My answer is then, I ain't got any patience. Right, okay. So what the universe does then, if that is one of my life's lessons to learn, presents me more opportunities to learn patience. So imagine that I'm trying to get a business off the ground, which I am. I'm trying to provide a living for myself so that I feel self-sufficient, which I am. But it's not coming in at the right speed. So you put it out to the people that know better. You will draw on other people's experiences and say, please help me. Right? So after that, right, is it coming in for you? Well, I look around and I'm going, well, not really. Right, well, you need patience. Yeah, but you need patience. You've got to let it flow. So until I accept the fact that I need patience, I will be stuck going round and round that roundabout, trying to push my way onto a road that ultimately I shouldn't be on. So you have to let things develop under their own steam. So when you can turn around and just go, now then, I understand that I've got to be patient. I've not got to try and force anything. That goes with the flow. Then things start to flow in your direction. Then you start to look at the timing of things, right? Any successful business, anything on YouTube wasn't built overnight. I had somebody talking to me the other day that's got 6,000 subscribers, and they said for the first 3 years it was on 200 people. Well, that's kind of like put me in my place, because I've got up to 400 now, right? And I did that in just over a year and a half. So I'm maybe being too hard on myself, which is another life's lesson. So it's all about the building. It's all about your construction. It's all about your mind frame. But say, quite honestly, I'm not bothered about subscriber numbers now. It's the people that I want to reach, because if I can get them to undo their negative thoughts, if I can help them with their it's like self-fulfilling prophecies, where you start to think something and you make it happen, if I can help them avoid those sort of thinking and put strategies in for them, then this is my life's work. Right. So if you're still here now, I went off on that tangent. Your 3 cards. Judgment. Right, now judgment is that moment like, aha, right, I get it. It's known in my deck as the RE card. So it's rejuvenation. It's bringing energy, something. It's bringing something that you might have felt long finished with back to life. So it's putting your energy in there. It might even be a refocus, a rejig, something like that, where you've got to look at things again, but breathing new life into something. It's about getting your emotions in sort of centralized and balanced and things like that, because we're looking for that comeback. We're looking at that release. We're looking at that moving forwards. And this is the thing. Doesn't matter how much I sit here and tell people how much work I want to do on the mindset and help people. Ultimately, the book stops with the person that is having the thought, because you can help. It's that you can get a horse to water, but you can't always make it drink. So when I see this card, it's like, ta-da, fanfare of trumpets, it is time. So if you're a serial procrastinator or an overthinker, what this card is saying now is, right, deal with your ghosts. Deal with the stuff that's going on around you. If it is not working for you, do not be frightened to change. Say, no, I'm done with it. Have a rejig, as I would call it. Have a bit of a juggle around, play around with things, and then plant new seeds going forward. And we're in the right space of time as well, with it being March, because we're still in the beginning of the year. So we're in that springtime. So anything that we plant now with good intention is going to have a good yield later on in the year. So I absolutely love that card when it comes in. And always remember as well, and this seems to be key around your energy, that there's only one person that is qualified to judge you in any way, shape or form. And I am looking at her, because it ain't me. It ain't the universe. It ain't your mum, your dad, you know, your aunts, your uncles, brothers, sisters, or anything like that. It's you. So in that sense, judge yourself in a kind way. And if you're not judging yourself in a kind way, maybe that's the bit that they're talking about, that you need to rejuvenate or have a rejig or a rethink. Second card, we have got the 4 of Wands. Just get that out of the light there. So the 4 of Wands, anything to do with 4s for me is about stability. I always visualize 4s of in one in each corner. So imagine that you've got a project on that's practical, because Wands are fire, they're fuel, excuse me, they're your passion, they are what you want to do in the everyday life. Now, when we start on the Wands journey, the Ace is all about that, having that initial fuel to put into something. So it could be a job, it could be a career, a business. It may even be that you want to rejig your house and put things in there that suit you better than what they currently did. All of that sort of practical things come in there. 2, we get to that stage where we've now made some progress. So I would say this part was probably sort of September, October of last year, where you was understanding that you wanted to make changes. So then you had to make some decisions, and you had to sort of decide what you wanted to align yourself with. The 3, you'll start to see the initial shoots of what you've planted. When we get to 4, this is now where we've got a lot of hard work done. We've now started to solidify our plans. But the problem is when you're an over-analytical thinker, that you're going now, and everything's got to be right, there's a tendency to sometimes undervalue what you've done, or maybe undo what you've done, because you lack the patience to sit there and wait to see where the results are. So imagine that you've got 3 out of the 4 posts that are concreted in and solid, and then the 4's just taking a little bit long to dry. So what you do is you then go and rattle it and go, oh, is it solid yet? Is it solid yet? And then they'll end up having to replant it, which is why we've got this rejuvenation card coming in, because there's maybe just something there that we've got to replant and rejig. The other thing is about this as well, it's taking time out with the family as well. So if you see, it's also times of celebration. So if you was looking at like stabilizing a relationship or going up to the next level, because it mentions weddings in there, this is just like an expansion of that energy. What it says is enjoy that time, but always remember that this is not the end of it, that there's more work to do. So 4s, we're stabilizing something and putting the ground floor in, and we should be in a space there where we can take a break and take some time out. And then we're going to push on, because what we're looking at now is building on the foundations going into this year. And your third card there is another 4. So like with anything, you get a counterbalance. So hi Joy. So the 4 of Pentacles. So Pentacles, money, finances, riches, enrichment, and what is known as non-material wealth. Non-material wealth is what you invest your time, your energy, your money, and basically your wisdom and your skill set in. Now, when I look at the Pentacles, I understand Pentacles now a lot better than what I used to, because I've done a lot of work on money mindset. Now, some people just want the money to come in and they want it now, and they don't realize that Pentacles are kind of like slow moving. You put the investment in, and then over the time frame, the investment then starts to pay off, but it's not an instant payoff. So what tends to happen on the tarot journey with Pentacles is you have that initial idea. You start to work out how much money you can put to things, what you can afford to do, where you can afford to invest in. The 2 is the decision-making process. So as we go down that path, we pick a destination that we want to align ourselves with. The 3 starts to come in, and there's a bit of a worry, because we've seen good signs from the 2 that we've got the ability to juggle the money and keep the finances in order. But the 3 comes in, and we're going, oh, do you know what? I'm a little bit concerned, because there's something coming there, but it's not quite right. So when the 4 comes in, we're actually stabilizing potentially a fear, because if you look at this is a bit of a reality check. We're looking at this guy, and he's clinging on. He's clinging on like mad to these Pentacles. Well, if you restrict money and you sit on it and don't allow it to flow in and out, because as my wife described finances and money, it's called currency. So if you think about current and sea, then they've got to be able to flow, and all currency flows in and out. So if we're restricting it and we're holding back and we're worried, we're not going to get that flow coming in. So we're not going to get any more money coming in, because as I've learned this week, that you don't get stability by getting money. Money is attracted to stability. So you've got to be stable and level in your own mindset for that money to flow through you. And like with anything in life, and this is true, sometimes we're all right and sometimes we're not. But when we start to sort of squeeze it in, and we need a little bit more flexibility, I feel, around the money. And plus, whatever's going on there with the green, now the green is all about the heart chakra. So imagine there that we've stabilized something in there that's been bad. We've kept it crushed in. We don't want to take any risks because we don't trust ourselves. We've made a mistake and we're beating ourselves up over it. Whenever I see that card, I'm just going, right, so why is there an emotional twist around it? Well, my words to you, and there is a lady's energy that is coming in, excuse me while I'm scratching my nose like that. This is nothing to do with having a cold or anything like that. I've got a lady coming in from the spirit world that is bringing animals in and around you. And she's bringing in, I feel like I've got dogs, but I may even have a cat there because my nose is starting to itch. And that's a sure sign for me that I'm bringing in cat fur around me, because it just makes my eyes run and my nose twitch a little bit. So before I get too far off tangent, she's bringing you a lot of love and a lot of thanks for everything that you did for her over the years. So back to that. So when we've made a mistake, right, the thing is about people, they're very quick to forgive others, but very slow to forgive themselves. So whatever's going on around you that's happened over these last couple of years, right, take a bit of a time out to just be honest with yourself, and don't ask for other people's support or guidance on this. I want you to take time out and sit with the energy, sit in that heart space, and just ask yourself, what have you been through? What have you endured? What have you dealt with? What have you succeeded at? What have you come through? Have you had any things there that have derailed you? What have you learned from it? And if you're entirely honest with yourself, which I suspect you will be, probably even a little bit critical, you will find out that you have done amazing over these last couple of years. So essentially what this card is telling me is we can stabilize good and bad memories and thoughts. But be honest with yourself. When you get a destabilizing thought or anything that knocks you off path, right, start to look now for evidence, right? Because a thought then becomes a belief, right? And a belief is a thought that we've agreed is true. So if I challenge the evidence based on my 53 years of living on this planet, quite often some of the stuff that comes up from the past, I now base it on the evidence of my experience, and I can now go back in and do that work and actually go, that's not correct. Right, that might be from my upbringing. That might be from a trauma. This is from me at 53 years of age. So how I deal with an active mindset is, I imagine having a boardroom, and in that boardroom goes all of the thoughts, all of the people, all of the experiences that have all got a tale to tell. Now, most of the normal people out there, in inverted commas, will have a secretary to deal with all of that. So you've got your chairman of the board or chairwoman of the board, and then you've got the secretary. So the secretary is the buffer, right? If you've got a neurospicy brain, you haven't got the buffer. So everything comes through to the overactive thinker, the chairman or the chairperson of the board, right? And what they're bringing through is every experience that you've ever had, right? Everything that you've done wrong, everything that you've fucked up on, excuse my language, and anything that's not gone quite right, and they bring it to you, right, at the age that you are now. And it's always that childlike sort of blah, I've got to get it off my chest, I've got to do it, I've got to say to you, I've got to talk to you, right? What I've realized with having this neurospicy brain is I can't cope with that amount of input. I don't want to deal with guilt, I don't want to deal with negativity, I don't want to deal with darkness. I've already been through it once. Right, so I don't need to relive it and re-experience it. And I said this on the last video that I did. It's like going to watch a film that you thought was shit and then going back the next week to prove to yourself that it was a shit experience. So what I do now is I invite everybody that wants to bring in any messages to me. When I'm working on my own psyche, this is not working spiritually. This is working with my own thoughts, my own intuitions, my own memories. And I will let them tell their story, right? But with the proviso of, I'm not hiding from anything, but I'm in charge, right? As I've got nobody else to do it for me, I haven't got somebody to sort of sift through the relevant stuff. I've got to do all of it. So that makes my time even that much more precious, because I need to sort of take some deep breaths, calm myself to be able to deal with this information overload. So the person brings in a memory, right, from an experience that I had no control over. Very, very difficult. Mental health difficulties going back quite a number of years, that wants to bring up something that I wasn't very good at or I didn't handle very well. But this is where the major difference has been for me, is I now listen. Right, tell me your story. Right. Once they've told me their story, right, thank you for bringing that to my attention. I will get back to you if I need to do anything about that. Right. I'm in charge at 53 years of age, because I can guarantee you, when you've got any darkness or negativity coming in, you're younger than what you currently are. Even if it's a few hours, a few days old, a few months, right? You have got more experience than that previous experience that you had. So you've got more knowledge. If you find yourself going back and repeating the same thing over and over again, ask yourself this difficult question sometimes. Ask yourself how old you are. When was the first time that you experienced that? Was the input from a trauma? Was it part of your upbringing, your childhood, your environment? And I will guarantee that you, as you are now, have got a lot more answers than you did then. But the problem is the imaginative mind there, the conscious thinking mind that brings everything up there, gives you loads to think about. So it's like somebody bringing you all of this stuff and just going, right, put that away. Well, the subconscious just don't worry about where to put it all. It just puts it all in there and stores it, right? Because it's not interested in fact or fiction. It just puts it in there for storage. So when you experience a similar experience, it may well trigger old memories and difficulties. And essentially what it all does is like a greatest hits of all the things that you've cocked up on. So you play that video and go, oh, you know, my mum's always thought that. You know, I've had this experience and it never works out well for me. So it's changing your mindset. So what I now do is I look at rewiring my own brain, right? So when that experience comes up to me, right, traditionally, I've not done very well at that, but I've had a different mindset on it now. And I, at 53 years old, will own that experience, right? Anything that I can go back and deal with in the past, in the sense of how I accept it, because I certainly can't change it. And I wouldn't want to, because this is what I've realized now is all of these bad experiences have helped me be in this position now where I can sit and I can help people go through that mind treacle and help steer them through it, get them out of that darkness and into the light. This is why when I talk to people and say, I'm not a light worker, right? I am not a light worker. I work in the dark to turn people towards the light. I am the light standard in the sense of I stand there and hold a torch. But it's what you tell yourself that is important. It's how you guide and direct yourself, because what you start telling yourself is what you believe. What you believe and you put more energy into is what you become. So it's building a foundation and then putting a top on it. And then it becomes very, very difficult the more that you put on top of it to actually get back to the original layer. So my board member there now, instead of being embarrassed about all of the things I've dealt with over the years, is I turn around now and I go, no, right? I haven't done anything wrong here. And I'm certainly not playing a victim, but I am in charge. Now, every now and again, I'll go off on a whiffle somewhere and I'll go on a bit of a wander and I'll come back and there might be somebody guest hosting in my chair. Oh my God, you know, you haven't earned this amount of money this week and you're a bit of a letdown. Right. Excuse me, who are you? Oh, well, I'm you from 10, 15 years ago. Right. Thank you very much for standing in for me, but this was only ever temporary. Right. Let's have you out of there. I'm in charge. And this is about taking charge of your own thoughts. So it's not manipulating yourself. It's not being manipulated to think anything you don't want to think. But it's checking in on your belief system, because who you were 20 years ago, yeah, it'll have a bearing of who you are now, but it don't have to be like a life sentence. Does that make sense? I hope people understand what I'm actually saying here. So I just made this conscious effort now with the ADHD Tism thing now to accept that that's my superpower. I'm not embarrassed by it. So it's actually like other people that I would make allowances for. Well, why the hell am I not doing that for myself? Right? Why am I not looking after myself? Because if people came to me and explained my story using their words, I'd just go, oh, bless you. You have had it rough, haven't you? Right. What we're going to do with that information? How can we structure that for you so it makes it easier for you? Where would you like to go with it? What would you like to do with that information? But no, I just put on the stiff upper lip and crack on with it and make out that it's okay until something comes in. And this is where my big transformations happened. Right. So 8 years ago, let me get the story right, because I don't want to go on too long with this. 2013, so we're coming up 12 years. I was in the prison service and it was my last few months in there. I ended up in hospital with a kidney stone, basically down to the amount of stress that I was under, struggling to cope. Desperately wanted to leave the job, but realistically, where was I going to get £30,000 a year for the skill set that I'd got, with no idea of what direction I wanted to travel in? The answer was that it weren't going to happen. Anyway, a series of events then happened, and it's put this pattern into my mind now, and I've only just clicked on just recently what this pattern is. So my prison service career came to an end when I ended up in hospital, and somebody said to me, don't sweat the small stuff. Right, I'm shortening this story down quite a lot, but he said, don't sweat the small stuff. And he passed away in front of me in that sort of 8-hour period while after we'd been talking. So I went back and I changed the course of my life. So I got doing other things, and then I got in touch with spiritual stuff and started doing readings for people and all of that sort of thing. And then there's this itch. There's this itch that just won't go away, because one of the very earliest feedbacks I ever got about my reading, it's like, he's like a counsellor. He wants to help you. And I just felt like the healing energy and all of this sort of stuff. So I listened to this and I thought, this is more along the lines of where I want to be. But I can't do that because I'm now established as going and being the waistcoat man and doing all of my work. Last year, 3 people that I've got a lot of time for passed away. And my brain starts to think, right, what is going on here? So I'm rewinding back a little bit. So about 18 months prior to last year, my dad passed away. And this is where the patterns start to come in. Often we have got to have a literal death of a feeling and energy. It doesn't necessarily have to be a person, but there has to be a distinct ending which gets us to go, whoa, fuck. And we realize just how precious life is. So when my dad passed away, I'd got no answers. It was like all my coping strategies, everything that I've ever known and done had just gone. Right? I couldn't support anybody anymore because I didn't know what to do with myself. Comes up last year that I know that my business needs to take a different turn. I'm still going to be doing this stuff on stage and things like that because I like entertaining people, to be honest. There's that part of me that is a people pleaser. But I'm talking about my life's mission, my soul mission is to help people understand the way that they process thoughts. How's that going to happen? Well, I've been now full time that this is my only living. Right? I don't get any money off YouTube because I haven't got the following to get that. So my heart, my intent is pure, is that I want to help people out. So 3 people last year that I've got a lot of respect for passed away, in various degrees. And it's had a big impact on me. So when I got to the beginning of this year, I was feeling quite low. It wasn't a case of, new year, new me shit, because I really don't believe in that. It was like, this needs to change. This is what I need to do, right? I am a healer of healers, right? I help people switch the lights on. It's an easy thing to do, but it's an hard thing to remember at times, that when we're in the darkness, there is the option of switching the light on. But you've got to be brave to do that, because sometimes it means going into that dark night of the soul moment where you have to look really deeply into yourself, and it's bloody hard, right? Make no bones about it. If you're going to take on your deepest root fears, it is difficult. So you've got to have enough about you. And I thought, I've got enough about me to do this, but I can't keep giving away my energy when I've got none left to give. So this is why I've kind of withdrawn quite a lot with people, because I've realized now that the character, the role that I've played, doesn't suit all occasions. I'm the introvert at home because I feel comfortable in my surroundings, which then I don't want to go out anywhere. I don't want to interact with people. That is me in a nutshell, but that is not my role fully. So as I'm going out now into the world, I am doing everything that I can to get people to watch what I'm doing. I'm not a guru. I'm not a cult leader or thinking that I know better than anybody. No, I'm a support. I am a guide, a shoulder to lean on while you process your thing. Now, part of my work this week is money mindset. So my money mindset was, I'm not worthy, right? So, I'm not good enough. There's people out there that have got 10,000 followers that they've got certificates out of the yin yang. And I'm going, right, yeah, okay. And it's had me bound. And then all of a sudden I realized, right, well, how is that mindset going to help me produce what I want? If I'm telling the world out there that I'm not good enough and I don't value my skill set, how on earth can I convince somebody else or the universal flow to bring me in what I need? So I'm having to work on that and change that I am worthy, I am valid. Now, people out there will put their own value on what I do. Now, I'm not responsible for their reaction to that, because it'll either generate me work or it won't. So this is like for people out there that are contemplating doing any service whatsoever, don't sell yourself short. Whatever it is that you want to do, put 100% of you into it, but also get paid 100% back. You know, you can pay things forward and be generous and be helpful and all of that sort of stuff. Yeah, great. But people's opinions, people's value of you ain't going to help you one iota. It's not going to buy you a bread loaf at wherever you shop. So this is about changing the mindset and allow things to flow, which is what I was saying to you. I don't know your first name. If you're still here, pause and pause, claws and jaws, because this is what I'm saying. This is about this. Maybe where around you we need the rethink and the rejig. So there's a lot going on at the moment that I'm dealing with in. It's kind of like a big barrel of stuff. I said on one of my earlier videos that it's like a big bag of squirrels have just sort of gone on the floor and scattered, and I'm herding them up. But I'm bloody proud, and I can say this without fear of feeling embarrassed about this, of what I've experienced, what I've come through, and what I know in my heart of hearts that I'm about to do. That I'm open to all forms of abundance. Hi, Marcia. Thank you for that. So this is about you. It's about personal pride. It's about valuing yourself. It's about not listening to other people's opinions, because none of it, worry, anxiety, or anything like that, gets you even a yard of progress. There's so many people saying, I've got this illness, I've got this, I've got that. And right, okay. There are mitigating circumstances for everything. But what you have to look at in your reality is, what are you prepared to do to change your life with what you've got? Right? If you understand that your mindset is like my dad used to be, that I'm a prisoner in my own home, which wasn't true, but he built a structure around that belief. So his thing was, I can't do that. Well, as soon as you tell yourself, I can't, that's almost like screwing a lid down on a box. You've got nowhere to go with it. So even the people out there that have got, like myself, mental health issues, that have got physical injuries, things like that, right? There's certain things that realistically I can't do because I haven't got the strength anymore to do what I used to do, but I can do something. So even if I'm operating at a smaller percentage, as long as I'm doing it in this where I am now. So like, for instance, when I was in the gym and I was a regular goer years and years ago, I could shift amazing amounts of stuff. But I had a bit more flexibility. My back weren't as bad. But my reality now is I have to be careful because I've got a back injury that is documented. You can see it for yourself. I've even got the x-rays to see it now. But I've got two ways of looking at this. I can either sit with it and just go, oh, I've got a back injury, got a problem with my neck. Or I can look at it and go, yes, I've got a back injury and I've got a problem with my neck. And, right, what am I going to do with that? And even with people that come to me when they're in wheelchairs, I'm going, right, don't write yourself off, because you get in that vibration and in that mindset of, yeah, okay, you might be in a wheelchair. And what can you do in your reality to affect that? So you can't change the fact that you're in a wheelchair, but you can adapt your world around it based on the energy and the experience that you've got. So when people come to me, yeah, I'm not to everybody's taste, because I do go for the throat. I kick people up the arse, and I'm bloody proud to be able to do that as well. Because at the end of the day, I'm not bullying anybody. I am speaking there as in alongside the vibration of knows what you're capable of. I don't know how to explain that I know what you're capable of, but when people land with me, I can be absolutely 100% convinced that what I'm doing is for your greater good, right? You then have to match your enthusiasm with mine, and then you get jobs done, you get moving forward. It's amazing the feedback that I get from people when they go, oh, I just thought you were just saying it. Right, no, I believe in you. But I could sit here as a coach and come out with all these tried and tested things there and say to you, come up with all of these quotes and things out of books and strategies and things like that. And as you finished it, you might as well have thrown your money in the bin if you're not going to do that. So this is why, rather than saying I teach people, I support and I guide, because I want to know how you process the information. Pretty much all of my readings go down that route anyway, because tarot, as we've just shown there, will tell a story. But we sometimes don't want to look deeper into the background of that story. Spirit, if you're a spiritual believer, will always come in and around you, right? They will show you signs that are around you. They're non-judgmental and non-coercive, which means whatever you do, they won't sort of pick on you and judge you. And they're not going to push you into anything that you don't want to do. So your spiritual family will come in when you need them. But like with the money mindset as well, and this is something that's just sort of clicked into gear with me. Just imagine that when your spirit family come back and all they want to do is love you and give you that support and everything that you had while they was here. Because I only work with light beings. I don't work with any darkness or negativity in that way. But imagine they're coming back to you and you're always moaning that you're not good enough and you can't do this and you can't do that and you can't manage. How it must be upsetting for them as a being that's been with you to see you pulling yourself to pieces like that. So they step back, I believe, because they're allowing you to do the work that you need to do. Our problem is that I think society and things like that are training us to be less than what we could be. Because those that stand out are often persecuted. Those that are different, those that think different are often targeted. It's easier to manage people when they all think the same. Right? What I do when I work with people is I encourage them to be them at the highest level that they can possibly be. Because if you get somebody believing in themselves to such an extent, they can move mountains. But it's like you look at people, if your aspirations and your goals is to be rich, there'll be people going out there and slamming into things and using their life hours to make money and things like that. Right. You look at all of the successful people, they've had it bred into them how to be successful. Right. I've not had that bred into me how to be successful with money, because it's always been, we're not good enough, we're not worthy enough, we don't earn enough, we don't wear the right clothes, we don't do this, we don't do that. So if you notice, the common denominator with that is do not, commands, right? Well, what if we suddenly turn around at the age that we are now and gone, fuck all that, nah, I've had enough of that, that's all bullshit. Well, you've got a reframe and a change to do in the memories that you've been put in there, because that's what you've been trained to think and feel. So sometimes we have to pull out all of the records and just go, right, is this now based on old information? I suppose it's like doing a reboot of a computer, a bit of a defrag. You've got to get rid of some of the viruses and things like that. And this is where the patience part of my story comes in, because I've got to realize that I've got 52 and a bit years of programming in there that was based on other people's thoughts, other people's information, other people's experiences. I am not that person anymore. So yeah, it might sound a bit preachy, guys, if you tuned in, but when I like that, proud to think outside the box and follow my gut instinct. I like that. Yeah, that and this is my thing. Sorry, I'm not the greatest with tech. I always look at that, but this is part of the recognition of this neurospicy thing. I've always been like that, but it's actually recognizing it. My journey with all of this, whatever's going on, and this is why I say I'm only calling it the tism, because I either am or I'm not. I'm not going to go and get a diagnosis. Is that I've always been on the fringes of things. I've always done things different. People have looked at me. I mean, my nickname in the prison service was the Mad Bloke, because I used to do all sorts of odd things. But when you look at a collective of ADHD people, neurodiverse people, I won't be the odd one out. I might even be the milder one of it. But it's actually coming to terms with that and just going, right, the reason that I've been different all of these years is now becoming apparent, right? Because people don't want a clone of themselves. They want somebody that thinks different to what they do if they've got a problem. Because if they could have solved the problem, they would have done it. So they need a different approach. This is why people come and sit with me. I've sat with, I don't know how many people, just having a cup of tea and a brew, and you have a bit of a yarn with them and find out what's going on in their lives and things like that. And I can do that without them switching on a computer or anything like that. It's just strange that healing energy generates people towards me. So I always trust the universe and spirit and whatever to see whatever it is that they've needed to bring along with me, and they'll send me the people that I need to work with. So there's that pride now in recognizing that I've got a superpower. And it's like with any superpower, though, it's how responsibly that you use it. And I think that anything that is ego-based will fall and crumble, especially as we move along into this new age of energy and things like that. So a lot of the work that I'm looking at with people is to line them up with their true vibration, because anything where you've got worry, you've got anxiety, you've got depression, all of the rest of it, and lack is a lower vibrational frequency. Well, you're not going to get anything good or anything better out of a low vibrational frequency. So it's sometimes adjusting the speech patterns, adjusting the mindset, supporting people to understand what they're saying and what they're doing need to be in alignment with one another to ensure that they get the right results. And if you can do that, then you're going to be able to set a timeline for your targets and things like that. And as I was saying right at the beginning, that some of that requires quite a lot of patience. And that is my learning lesson at the moment, is that I need to have far more patience and flow with it. And as you start to recognize these synchronicities coming in, they're allowed to bring you, I feel that the universe is then allowing you to experience the better things that you need. So, for instance, with my job, my full-time job, it's all sort of gone down and gone away. So 3 years ago, the only option I'd got at that particular moment was to carry on with the spirit fairs and all of the readings that I did, cleared the decks. I've come to this point now where I love doing the readings and things like that, but for me personally, in my heart space, it's not enough. So I've then got to prepare myself mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally to be allowed to continue forward. If I stay in that same vibration of lack, I won't get anything better. So it's about changing the mindset little by little. Observing the patterns, observing the routines, seeing what the results are. It's like bedding in plants. You've got to put them in there and nurture them for them to grow properly. So that's like life's flow as well, and nurturing yourself so that you get the best results. And this is kind of like where that rejuvenation card comes back in again, because sometimes we need to go back to the drawing board and go, right, I've had a go at that and it's not quite worked out for me. I'm not taking it as a negative, but it's not going to work for me. So I'm going to make an adjustment. And the adjustments are made gradually, and then things start to change because you gradually align yourself with the vibration of the things that you need, and you'll be drawn towards them. So you will often find that obstacles that have sort of gone in your path will disappear because you bumped off them and gone, I get it. You've got that aha moment. Right. So anybody before I get off want a card or reading or anything like that? So I've got 3 decks of cards with me. Josephine Ellishaw Tarot. I have got, I always forget her name. Anyway, a lady that I work on the circuit with, single word oracle cards. And we've got Doreen Virtue's angel cards here as well. Right, Joy Earls, thank you very much. Excuse me, I've got this cough as well that seems to be in my throat. And it's not a physical cough, it's an energetic cough. So there's as I say, there's a lot of emotions in that are coming to the surface at the moment that are needing to come out. So the cough is an expression of the energy that I still need to release. I'm getting a lot of gas, as in burping, that's not mine either. So it's removing these energies. So as you do your healing work, and how it's been described is that dark night of the soul moment, sometimes it's got to come out somewhere. So I'm going through that process now, the dark night of the soul moment again for about the 4th time in the last 18 months, but I believe it's necessary. So excuse me if I'm coughing a little bit. Right, so let's see what we've got. And they are going to be quick. We're going to rattle through them because I've had a small audience on, but the thing is as well, it doesn't matter whether you got 3 on or 53 on, it still uses the same amount of energy. Right, so the 3 cards that you've got, they're Joy Earls. You've got the Magician. So the Magician there is, I'm not a big believer in like the sort of magician's energy that piff, paff, puff and everything's going to be 100% right. And going to drop out the sky and everything's going to be magically okay. No, this is about vibration and it's tuning into that frequency. Because if you look at in there, it's magical times. It's where things, you notice the synchronicities. You have got your finances. You have got your fire and your passion with the wands. You've got your emotions with the cups. You've got your swords there of truth, which is about your mind and your intellect. So it's pulling it all together. And what it actually says, the message from that card is that you've got all of the tools at your disposal to make your times better than what they currently are. You might have to do some healing. You might have to have the patience that I talked about earlier on in this broadcast. But essentially, when we've got the Magician there and we're on step 1, we've got all of the tools at our disposal that we need. So if you're looking at new jobs, new careers, new direction, new training, anything like that, then do your research and then go for it. No more procrastinating. You've got the Page of Pentacles. So this is bringing in opportunities for money and finances and non-material wealth, which is where you invest your time, your effort and your money in. And the Page is a messenger. So you might see him going to the court spaces, the kings, the queens, and bringing them opportunities to increase their wealth or increase something there for their betterment of something that they've invested their time and energy in. So this is one of those things. No procrastination over these next 6 months. Invest in you because it will always pay off. Now, I don't know anything about you, Joy, in this sense. So age groups or anything like that, irrelevant to me. Bringing a gentleman's energy in and around you that's just coming. It's got this big belly laugh about him. I feel like I'd got issues around the heart before I passed. Around the chest area as well, because again, this cough's coming up and I feel like I would have difficulty breathing. So I'm a little bit what I call over here ruckly, a little bit wheezy. So I don't quite know what was going on in there, but he's just sort of slapped me on the shoulder. So he's got a big energy about him. He's like your bodyguard coming in to help you at the moment. The 9 of Pentacles. So we're heading up towards the completion of a phase or cycle. This is the independent businesswoman. This is the person there that knows what she wants. She knows how to generate money. She knows what she wants to do with her time and her investments. Great card for coming in to encourage you to make those new starts. But again, like with anything, don't take any risks. Do your homework. So lots of things around money and finances, I believe, for you to sort. But the overall message with that is that the Magician says that you've got all of the tools and the resources to do what you need to do. You just got to press the go button. Right. Okay. I hope that made a bit of sense. And Wifey will do your message there, and then we'll look at getting off, because I didn't expect to go over an hour because I thought more people would join in, but no, don't worry. Hi, you Twisted Tiara. I hope you're well. Right, so just do a quick shuffle of these. Twisted, if you want a quick message before I go off, cards wise, please give me a shout, because otherwise, after I've done wifeys, I'm going to jump off. It's just been very, very nice for people to join in. There's been an issue apparently with Facebook, and it's not gone over to Facebook, so this will just be out on YouTube. So we'll see what happens with that. So what makes me smile is I put a year into trying to get this built up last year with the intent of pleasing subscribers and putting on regular content and editing, and it was soul destroying because it just didn't happen for me. So when I look back on it, there was lost quite a lot of subscribers because the algorithm and things like that, which I don't understand, and I got a bit disheartened. I've actually had more subscribers since I come off. So what does that logically tell you? So I'm coming back on now, and like I was saying, it's not about any more about worrying about numbers and things like that. It's just giving the message. Right, where was we? There we go. Right, let's just put that one up. There we go. Let's see what we've got. So I've got a gentleman's energy coming through for you, wifey, as well. A little bit more reserved, a little bit more quiet, a little bit more considering. And what I mean by that is kind of so there's something there that I sense that you need to have a good look at around your home life, your practical life and things like that, because something's not quite sitting right. So it's maybe, we talked about that rejuvenation card earlier on. Maybe it's just a rethink or a plan, or just standing things in the correct light and just like, right, okay, let's just take this for what it is and then move on, because there's something there that it kind of feels like it wants taken to pieces because it's not being shown in its true light. So the card for you is strength there. The strength is the female energy there, and she's more about the sort of working with the gentleness, the energy of encouragement, nurture, and she's actually overriding the masculine energy there. So for me, when it's having the strength to work with all types of people. So in a sense, my message is coming through there about not being bullied or overawed by other people's opinions. So when the lion roars can be a bit noisy. So sometimes it's a case of standing your ground a little bit and just realizing that you are viable as you are. But it's reminding you as well about having boundaries, that if you say something, make it stick. Don't allow people to push you back or dissuade you from your opinion or anything like that. I love the strength card there because it's just reminding people that essentially they've already got it. They just need to remember how to use it. The Three of Pentacles is known as the Apprentice card in this deck, which is, again, money, finances, riches, and not what's known as non-material wealth. And if you look at the apprentice there, he's making money using his own skills. And this is maybe about how you generate your own money, whether you're doing readings, whether you're doing spiritual work, or you've got a job or something on the back burner. This is kind of like regaining your pride. It might even be a case of just like, I call it giving me head of a bit of a wobble, because sometimes you get lost in this thought process and you get stuck and you get held back. And essentially, you own the key to that lock. So sometimes you have to give your head a bit of a shake and just go, right, I'm done with that phase of thinking, and then push on. Because if that's not the answer, the next answer will be around the corner. So then once we've come to terms with certain things, we can then apply ourselves to go in that better direction. Right. And we've got another card there. So that's the Eight of Pentacles. And that for me is the student. So we've got the apprentice there that is finding his own source of pride and making money through his own efforts. We've got the Eight of Pentacles there, which is, again, heading up that hill towards completion. Now, the Eight of Pentacles for me is about new learning, new opportunities to make more money than what you're currently doing. Or maybe it's just about an investment of your time and your effort. So new learning, new skill sets and things like that often take time and patience to bed in. So when I look at this card, and if I get it without the light being held on it, he's kind of like burning the candle at both ends, but he's applying himself. So a lot of people get stuck in the, yeah, but I can't do that because I've got this, that, and the other. Okay, right, I'll accept that life does throw its curveballs at us. I'm not arguing with that, but put yourself in the position of the universe. How can I bring something to you that benefits you if you always say that there's something that's more pressing? It's just something to consider. Right. Just moved house. Right, okay. Does it love us? Right. I've just had a lady that when I looked at that's just gone, yes. Right. We haven't travelled as far as we've travelled for you to be moving out quick. So yes. Right. So let's see what we've got. We'll see what the cards give us. So I'm reading that different style. I don't tend to do generalized readings, but we'll see what comes out for you. Right. So you're going to be queen of your own castle there. So the nine of Pentacles is the independent businesswoman. She's the woman that knows how to manage her money. So if you're looking at whether the house loves you and whether you've made the right decision, when I'm seeing this lady, 100%, right, big thumbs up there, because you've made your investment, you've trusted your judgment, you've gone along there, you put your money where your mouth is, and you're going to be very happy there, right? Card number 2, right? But there's something there that's the element of doubt, because we've got the 2 of Swords, and the 2 of Swords is your mind and your intellect. So there's an element of deadlock or stalemate. Now, this might be butting heads with somebody or something, or there's that stale thought in your mind that needs that objective look at it. Right, where we take a step back, we both have our say, we both communicate our needs and wishes, and then at some point we're either going to agree or we're going to go whichever direction we need to go in. So this is kind of like discipline, organization, knowing your own mind, essentially, and no doubts. That's what's being repeated. And ultimately, you're asking if you're going to be okay. There is no better card than that to validate it. So the world is there. The world is your oyster, right? So when we look at this, she stood there in her own light. She stood amongst the victory of the laurel leaves, and she's celebrating. So when I look at this, that when we've got difficulties or we've got celebrations, celebrate them equally and then move on, because there's always more work to do. So I hope that made a bit of sense for you. Not to worry. Thank you very much. No, if people will come on, if people are coming on, I will quite happily pull your card if you want, Samantha, because you've supported me and I appreciate that. I'm very grateful for that. Thank you. How am I doing and how am I feeling? I'm going through a lot at the moment, right, which is not like the victim or down or flat or anything like that, but I'm doing this business acceleration course, which is a 3-week course that's free, and working on mindset, working on emotions, coming to terms with your past, dealing with money mindset, promoting yourself and business awareness and things like that. And chiropractic, again, having issues with the back and getting those sorted, and getting myself back in the gym so that I am the resource that I want to be for other people. What has slowed me down a little bit is that I've had to change my mindset and look round about who am I to me. And that's something I've always found difficult. I've always been there of service to other people because that's what gives me my feel goods. But what's become very, very apparent is you can't be of service to anybody if you ain't got the fuel to do it. So sometimes we have to go back and do the work on ourselves to enable us to have the energy to help other people. So it's a bit of a difficult one there. You feel you're in a good place at the moment. Right, great. Absolutely brilliant. So what I will do for you, just to say thank you for the support, we'll not do a structured reading. Right, so these are your angel oracle cards, right? And what I do with these when I'm reading for clients at shows and events is I leave them right till the last thing. And I pull one card and ask, what does she need to know right now? So I've got no attachment to it. So the colour that comes out, you've either got blue, which is the communication, green, which is healing, pink is love from the spiritual world, gold or brown is practical, and there's a purple one with your spiritual. So all of this is just a message from the angels. So for you, take great pride in your excellent work. Practice makes perfect, and consider getting some additional education or training. So this is like the theme of what we've been talking about earlier on is where you put your life hours, what you invest your time, your thoughts and your energy in. So there'll be maybe something around you at the moment that now that you are in that better space, that you can utilize that energy that you maybe have been bogged down with for something more productive. So what a great way of bringing that to the end. So that makes that's spot on as far as I'm concerned. So guys, we've ended up with the most that's been on here. I don't know what happened with the book face there, face cloth, whether it stayed on or not, because nobody's come on from Facebook. But just want to say thank you. Like I said on the last one, I can't promise that I'm going to come on regularly because I don't know if that's my want or not yet. But I will keep coming on and promoting. So all I ask you guys is that you like and share this as much as you can, just to bring awareness about the work that I'm doing, because it's not that I'm attempting to do or trying to do, it's the work that I'm doing. It's my life's calling, and I will get there. But I'm one of those that also is very, very grateful when people help you, right? Because it will be returned energetically. I guarantee that. So I will stop there, say thank you very much for your time and your energy. And I'm not going to steal Annabelle's saying that, for those of you that know fortune cookies, about seeing you in the future, but it's kind of like around it's around that. I'll see you on the next one. So thank you very much, guys. I really appreciate that. Cheers. Bye.